Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. In the last episode, I began my investigation into Saika's murder in Makoto's room, and after a somewhat lengthy investigation, I've come across a host of evidence that generally paints a picture or two as to what actually happened, how she was murdered, and a clue as to who might have done it. But, rather than rely on my own shoddy recaps to try and sum up everything that happened, I went to the trouble of actually writing a note that concisely sums up my theories, along with my reasoning behind them. But before I get into reading this to you, we're going to go ahead and glance over all of my evidence. We got them on a Kuma file. There's a struggle, replica sword, its sheath, all of this evidence right here. Now, if any of you were present during the last episode, you guys will already be familiar with what all this evidence is exactly, when I found it, and where. So, if you guys are pretty familiar with that, I'll just go ahead and just start reading my little note to you. So, during our investigation in the last episode, I discovered that the nameplates on Makoto and Saika's rooms were switched at some point, after Saika and Makoto traded rooms. That is one of the biggest clues I've found that paints a picture of what actually happened in Makoto's room. In the last episode, I came up with two theories as to how the killer got into the room based on all the evidence I uncovered during the investigation. With the first theory being that the killer got inside the room by using Makoto's room key, which could only happen if Saika broke their promise to Makoto and left Makoto's room at some point after she and Makoto parted ways. Afterward, the killer and Saika got into a struggle, which involved a samurai sword being used, undoubtedly by the killer, since Saika had an injury on her wrist that shows glitter from this decorative sword. Saika fled into Makoto's bathroom, using the trick Makoto taught her on how to open the door to get in and block the killer out, which in turn forced the killer to use a screwdriver to loosen up the doorknob so the killer can get inside. Having Saika cornered, the killer takes a kitchen knife that was taken earlier from the kitchen connected to the dining hall, and fatally stabs Saika to death with it. The killer then uses the lint roller to clean up as much of the floor as they can, to erase any trace evidence they might have left behind, to show that they were ever in the room. Then they left and got rid of whatever evidence they could, using the trash room. A second theory, which is virtually identical to the first, except in how the killer managed to get inside Makoto's room where Saika was staying. In short, the possibility exists that Saika herself might have let the killer into the room willingly, but Makoto would doubt this to be the case, given Saika's fearful demeanor the previous night. Doubtful, but as far as I'm concerned, given the evidence, not impossible. Especially when one remembers the switched nameplates on Makoto and Saika's rooms, which I also uncovered during my investigation. I'm sure some of you guys might know where I'm going with this, but I want to make it clear that this is only a theory that I'm proposing based on the currently available evidence that is in my possession. As there were multiple people investigating this murder, to me it's common sense to expect new evidence to pop up during the class trial. And once it does, we can take this new evidence into account and either revise my theories as they go along until they get refined enough to be solid ideas as to what actually happened, or I can come up with completely new theories if any new evidence comes up that damages my two theories enough to where I'll need to rethink my entire case if we want to get to the truth of what actually happened in Makoto's room. It's not my goal to mislead any of you who are watching this Let's Play. I'm just sharing the same theories I came up with the first time I played this game based on what evidence we currently have available. I want you to come up with your own conclusions before the trial starts, and see whether or not any of us were right on anything as the trial goes on. And I think that covers the gist of everything. Wow, so much better than just me recapping this shit on the fly. So, yeah, I think that pretty much, like I said, I think that pretty much covers the gist of everything, so let's go ahead and get ready. What's this class trial that Monokuma mentioned? Can Makoto sweep away the cloud of suspicion surrounding him, even with a dead body laying in his bathroom? And what about the Blackened, who's actually responsible for Saika's death? So, as I mentioned in my theories, the killer had to get into the bathroom by unscrewing the doorknob using a tool. And since only the boys were given toolkits at the beginning of this death game, to me it's pretty obvious that the killer had to have been a male, and they had to use one of their toolkits in order to open the bathroom door, since they didn't know about the door trick that Makoto taught Saika, and they probably thought that the door was locked. So the question is then, who among the males is the guilty party here? Now remember that skill I unlocked by socializing with Saika? Well, the skills are to be used here in this class trial segments, and they're basically meant to give me some gameplay advantages during them, which you'll come to see how they're useful as I start the trial. So, melodious voice increases damage to the opponent when a statement is destroyed. Effective during bullet time battle. Costs 3 SP or skill points. So this is the only skill I got. So I'm going to go ahead and equip it. And I think we're pretty much prepared. So let's just go ahead and get this started.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the Blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate.
And the killer really is one of us, right?
Yup.
Of course.
Okay then. Everyone, close your eyes. And whoever did it, raise your hand.
Don't be a goddamn idiot. Why the hell would they raise their hand?
You never know, some people could be that dumb.
Before we move on and start the trial, can I ask a question real quick? What's going on with those pictures?
I'd feel awful if they got left out just because they died. Friendship penetrates even death's barrier.
How considerate of you.
Friendship penetrates?
How lustful of you.
Okay, but what about that other empty seat? There were only 15 of us to begin with, so why are there 16 seats?
That's a good question.
Oh, no reason. It's just that our little courtroom here can technically fit up to 16 people. Okay, that about does it for the preamble. Get ready to get started.
16 people, so that is the 15 students that are here and then Monokuma. And since Monokuma is a robot, and, well, there's got to be a mastermind behind this whole thing, yeah, probably a technicality that you could write off as 16 seats available for our mastermind.
First up is the case summary. Now, let the class trial begin!
It's about to begin. The debate to decide who we think the killer is. Anything I found, anything I noticed, I have to be ready to speak up about everything. Because this isn't just about me. Everyone's lives are on the line. Your first non-stop debate is about to begin. Would you like to hear more? Why not? As things progress during the class trial, you will engage in a number of non-stop debates. During these discussions, characters will speak one after another without pause. So basically, we can't exactly take our time going over each and every statement like we could in Ace Attorney. We gotta do everything on the fucking fly. It's up to you to unearth any lies or contradictions buried within their statements. What this means is that you'll have to use your truth bullets to refute what they say. So basically, our evidence. Any relevant truth bullets you found during your investigation will be loaded into the truth cylinder. Use the left stick to aim, then fire with the Y button. Pay close attention to each character's statements, and use your truth bullets to blast the right ones. Note that if you run out of time, you will automatically fail, so please be careful. If you press the start button during these arguments, you can review the controls. Well then, good luck and have fun. Well, I hope I do have fun, because I just now remembered I did set the gameplay difficulty for the class trial segments on mean difficulty, and I've never played a mean difficulty before. Just this game's equivalent of normal. So I have very little idea on how much worse these segments are going to be for me. Hopefully not too much. But I guess we'll see. Let's do this. So we got one piece of evidence. Evidence of a struggle.
I assert that the one who was murdered was Miss Sayaka Maizono!
Yeah, we know that part already.
And the murder took place in Makoto's room.
In the bathroom. So it seems most likely that the killer must have taken her by surprise while she was in the bathroom. She didn't even have a chance to resist.
Wrong!
No, that's wrong.
Did you guys not see the room?
Just a second, Chihiro. Try to remember how my room looked. With the way things had been damaged, I think we can definitely assume there was a struggle.
You know, their voices are a bit quiet. Can I, raise the voice? Okay, it's already at max. You know what? I'll just lower the background music and the sound effects volume just a smudge.
A struggle? Between who and who?
Between Sayaka and the killer, of course.
So you're saying Sayaka wasn't caught by surprise in the bathroom? She must have been attacked in the main room first. Then, she ran to the bathroom to try and hide.
Which pretty much jives with my theories so far.
The killer followed her in, and that's where they finished the job.
That much should have been obvious after taking one look at the scene. It shouldn't even need explaining.
Thank you, Byakuya.
Sorry.
Okay, so what's next?
Next is the subject of the murder weapon.
Wow, this is starting to sound like a real trial.
Well, I think that too is blatantly obvious what the murder weapon is. Just look at, Sayaka's corpse. We need to determine what was used to kill Sayaka. Again, it should be blatantly obvious if you just look at her. So we have the kitchen knife set. So we just gotta wait for our right statement to use this on.
So what was used to kill her?
There was some kind of sharp object thrust into her stomach. Without a doubt, that is the murder weapon.
So the killer used some random knife they had on him.
Nope, not just any random knife.
No. I do think it was a knife, but not just any knife. I'm almost positive it was a kitchen knife.
Huh? A kitchen knife?
After the murder, we discovered that one of the knives from the kitchen was missing.
Which means that knife must be the murder weapon.
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense. You could sort of see the weapon sticking out of her stomach.
Yeah, you could.
And if you look real close, I could totally see that being a kitchen knife.
Okay, so the murder weapon was a kitchen knife, but where does that get us? I mean, we all know Makoto killed her, right?
Based on the murder location, right?
That's right. Makoto's room was the scene of the crime. What more proof do you need?
That is pretty, that in and of itself is not proof.
Let's draw our conclusions after we presented our arguments. Otherwise, what's the point of the trial?
Thank you.
Well, we can talk all we want. It's not going to change that conclusion.
I don't think that's true at all. I'm sure if we keep at it, something new will reveal itself.
You really believe that?
She's right. There's gotta be a breakthrough somewhere just waiting for us to find it. Because I know damn well I'm not the killer. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Let's hear more. Why not? You can concentrate by holding down the right bumper button. While you're concentrating, time will slow down so you can pay closer attention to what everyone's saying. On top of that, it'll steady your aim, making it easier to target potential weak spots. Concentrating like this consumes the focus gauge, and if this gauge empties, you can't concentrate. So I can't just use it willy-nilly. But the focus gauge will recover over time, so let your brain take a rest. No need to rush. Well then, good luck and have fun. So we got Hina's account as our only bullet. Again.
So I guess there's no question that the kitchen knife was the murder weapon.
But where does that get us?
Makoto must have taken it from the kitchen, right? You did it in secret. Nobody was in the...
Except somebody was in the dining hall. Specifically, Hina.
Okay, wait. Hold on. I didn't take the knife from the kitchen.
Next, you're gonna say you're not the killer, right?
Yes.
Go ahead and say it all you want.
Well, what if I have a witness? What do you think, Hina?
Huh?
Remember what you were telling me earlier?
Well, I went to go get some tea from the kitchen last night, and all the knives were still there. But when I finished my tea and went back into the kitchen to wash my glass, one of the knives was gone. So you're saying the knife disappeared while you were drinking your tea in the dining hall? Yeah.
Just to be perfectly clear, the knife disappeared while you were in the dining hall, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And at any point while you were there, did you ever see me come into the dining hall?
No, I don't think so.
What you should be asking, I think, at this point is, who did she see come into the dining hall?
You don't think so?
No, he definitely wasn't there.
The knife disappeared while Hina was in the dining hall, but I wasn't there the entire time. In other words, there's no way I could have taken the knife.
Okay, then what about this? What if the idiot swimmer girl and Makoto are in on it together, and lying to protect each other?
Accomplices are a definite possibility, I won't lie.
Idiot swimmer girl? Oh, and more importantly, why would I get involved in something like that?
Good question.
Speaking of which, I'd like to ask the bear, if there is an accomplice, do they also become Blackened?
So you ask, and so I shall answer. Each murder is allowed to have an accomplice, but only the one who does the killing will get to graduate.
So on the surface, it would seem that an accomplice would have nothing to gain by helping anybody commit murder.
So in other words, two people can work together, but one of them has no chance of profiting from it.
Then there's no way anyone would work together, right?
But what if they did work together, and they just didn't know about the rule?
True, because we just now got confirmation on this rule right now. Before then, nobody knew about this.
Good grief! Enough already! No, okay? There are no accomplices in this case!
Well, thank you for clarifying that for us.
Oops! Did I say that out loud?
Anyway, I didn't go to the dining hall, and I didn't take the knife. So I'm not the killer.
Okay, so then, who did take the knife?
Again, I suggest we ask Hina who she did see come into the dining hall.
Hina seems the obvious candidate. After all, she just said she was in the dining hall. No way! I swear it wasn't me!
No, it definitely isn't Hina because, as I pointed out during the class trial preparations, the killer got into the bathroom using a tool, undoubtedly a screwdriver. Only boys were given toolkits. So, unless Hina managed to somehow steal somebody's toolkit, and for some reason, whoever it was stolen from decided not to be honest when Mondo talked to them about who used their toolkits, yeah, not possible.
Sure, but can you or anyone else prove that? I can.
That's right. Sakura was with me the entire time I was drinking my tea.
That would have been a lot more helpful to know earlier.
I hate to have to ask, but just to be sure, Sakura's...
Me.
Right.
But then, couldn't either one of them have grabbed the knife?
Actually, no. Because, well...
Just spit it out already.
I stayed in Hina's room last night.
I got so scared thanks to those creepy videos. I wasn't really thinking, I just asked her to stay over. Which means we have airtight alibis.
You stayed over? Doesn't that violate one of the school regulations?
The school regulations state that you have to sleep in the dormitory area. Otherwise, in order to not get punished for sleeping in class, as it was basically more or less stated. So they're fine as long as they're in the dormitory area.
We're not allowed to sleep anywhere but the dorms, but it doesn't say we have to stay in our assigned room.
Well, the dorm rooms. Well, yeah.
So, I don't think that's a problem.
It is a problem! A boy and a girl spending the night together? It's unwholesome!
Have you not been paying attention to anything relating to Sakura up until now? Because if you had, then you'd know that she's a she.
But I'm a girl.
You are? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry!
But if it wasn't either of you, then what other possibility is there?
Well, literally well, not literally anybody, but anybody but those two.
Actually, there is one other possibility. Right, Hina?
Oh, yeah, that's true. One other person did come to the dining hall while we were there.
And they are...
Why didn't you say so in the first place?
Well, because they're not here anymore.
So they're not here anymore. So based on that, let's do a little logical deduction. Junko wasn't killed until right before the investigation started, when she defied Monokuma, and she died right in front of us. So there was no doubt what happened to her. So it has to be Sayaka. Someone who's not here? Are you talking about?
Sayaka. She's the one who came to the dining hall. And then later, she wound up dead.
Sayaka? Okay, so the person who took the knife from the kitchen was Sayaka, yes.
I got it! Then, Sayaka is the one who took the knife?
It would appear so.
That's the only possibility. And thinking back on it, she was acting kind of unusual. When she came into the dining hall, she didn't even look at us. She just went straight to the kitchen. As she left, she said she just wanted a drink of water. But most likely...
she went to go grab the knife.
And the person who took the knife was the victim herself.
I'm sure she just took it for self-defense.
So you're saying the knife she took was then taken from her, and she was killed with it?
That's what it would look like, yes.
In that case, you may not have taken the knife, but you still could have killed her.
What?
See? He did do it after all!
This is, I must remind you, this is purely circumstantial.
No, you're wrong.
So, that's how you would twist the argument and send us all off in the wrong direction? You possess a most terrifying talent.
And you look so pissed about me having that talent and not you, right? Poor you. Damn. If I don't do something, they're gonna blame me for the murder. What do you think they have been doing this whole time, man? They've already come to their conclusions. Right now, we just gotta blow their conclusions right out of the fucking sea. Don't they understand? If they convict me, everyone's gonna die.
Hold on. It's still too early to decide conclusively that Makoto is the killer, wouldn't you say? Because you see, if the room did belong to the killer, then they did something most bewildering. And until we unravel that little mystery, you simply can't declare that he's the killer.
Bewildering? What the hell are you talking about?
Something was missing from the scene of the crime that by all rights should have been there.
And I think we know, and I think we can deduce what she means based on a certain little piece of evidence that we've acquired during the investigation. Something that we found on the floor in Makoto's room.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Your first Hangman's Gambit is about to begin. Would you like to hear more? Yes. As things advance further in a class trial, the Hangman's Gambit will eventually take place. The point of this is to reveal an important phrase related to the incident in question. You'll have to deduce the phrase from the letters flying around and the letters already known. And this is where my Ace Attorney experience kind of fails me. Complete the phrase by shooting down the flying letters in the right order. Use the left stick to aim and press the Y button to shoot the desired letters. If you shoot down the wrong letters, you'll suffer damage to your influence gauge. Basically my health meter. If this gauge reaches 0, or if you run out of time, you fail. Well then, good luck and have fun. Something that should have been at the scene, but wasn't. That must be the crucial point. If we can just figure out what that something is. So, let's see how many letters it expects us to fill out. 4, so H. I think it's hair. There we go.
Now I understand.
That was easy.
That's right. There wasn't a single hair on the floor.
So, the culprit removed some evidence?
Yes. And if I were the culprit, why would I need to get rid of all the hair in my own room?
To get rid of Sayaka's? Well, then again, well, you'd leave her. Yeah, never mind. I thought I had a possibility that I could just throw out there just for the shit of it, but no, I actually don't because, well, Sayaka was still left in the room.
It wouldn't be unusual at all to find my hair at the crime scene if the crime scene is in my room.
Exactly.
The reason all the hair was gone was to remove any trace that Sayaka had ever been there.
And as I just corrected myself on and pointed out, if I want to remove any trace that Sayaka was ever in my room, I would have to get rid of her corpse too, don't you think?
That makes sense, does it not?
No. If that were the case, they would have had to do something about the body itself, not just her hair.
Yes, very true, very true.
Okay, then why wasn't there any hair on the ground?
The killer got rid of it all, of course, to remove any trace that they had ever been there.
Wait, then that means...
That means that the bona fide killer, his name does not start with an M and ends with an O.
Precisely. It's simply beyond reason to believe that the room's owner and the killer are one and the same.
Then Makoto isn't the culprit?
Are you sure we can decide something so important based solely on the absence of some hair?
No. There are other reasons that prove why Makoto couldn't have done it.
I would like to hear these reasons.
Do you remember anything remarkable about the bathroom at the scene?
A few things, yes.
Sayaka was attacked in the main room first, then fled into the bathroom, right?
Yeah, then they ran after her, got into the bathroom, and stabbed her.
And how did the killer get into the bathroom? Did they have any trouble with it?
As a matter of fact, they would have.
What do you mean?
It's fairly certain that the killer had some trouble getting into the bathroom. There was clear evidence left behind. Do you remember, Makoto?
Mm-hmm. The killer struggled to get into the bathroom, and the evidence that proves that is... Well... Oh, get down there. This. The doorknob.
I got it! Evidence that the killer had trouble getting into the bathroom. You're talking about the doorknob, right?
Yep.
Huh? The doorknob? What doorknob?
The doorknob for my bathroom. It was completely broken. See how the top part was unscrewed? And the doorknob's about ready to fall off?
Oh yeah, true. But what does it mean?
In trying to bypass the lock, they ended up nearly removing the entire doorknob. This is another most bewildering act for the room's owner. It proves Makoto is beyond suspicion.
Thank you for helping prove my innocence, Kyoko.
So what? You're saying he wouldn't break the door in his own room?
Well, it's not like I'm a girl and I have a lock on my bathroom door and I therefore locked myself out, so...
But if the only choice you have is to break it, you break it. There's nothing bewildering about it.
You still don't see? Okay then, let's take another look at how the incident unfolded. Hopefully that will help you understand.
Kyoko said it was a bewildering act. I almost didn't notice it at first, but is that the key point here? There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Let's hear more. From here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up. But no matter how many weak spots, there's essentially only one lie or contradiction in that debate. What I'm trying to say is, not all weak spots you see are necessarily false. Use a truth bullet on the wrong one, and not only will you fail to refute what they said, but you'll also lower your trust of everyone, and your influence gauge will take damage. Now this is important, because if your influence gauge reaches 0, you fail. You'll have to rely on your own logic to determine which weak spots are actually lies or contradictions. Well then, good luck and have fun. Well, I'm already used to having to sit through multiple statements, again thanks to a certain game series, so I'm not all that worried.
The incident took place in Makoto's room. Sayaka was first attacked in the main room. She then fled into the bathroom.
Then the killer ran after her. And they got into the bathroom.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door. Because Sayaka had locked it.
No.
No,
There's a special trick to my bathroom door because, well, I'm just plain old unlucky.
The reason my bathroom didn't open wasn't because it was locked. After all, the girls' rooms are the only ones with walking bathrooms, right?
Yes, now that you mention it, that is true.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
Yup, true as true can be. But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door...
I can get back at you for this slice later on.
That's not lucky at all!
So the reason the door didn't open was just because it was stuck. But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place? Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
One important detail, something the killer didn't know. For some reason, they were convinced the door was locked. Which means the important detail the killer didn't know was the crime took place in my room.
I got it!
Remember the door
The killer
plates?
must not have realized that it was my room.
We're gonna bring those up very shortly.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know where he was? That's inconceivable!
And yet, he's absolutely right.
Say what?
I'm right! Get the earwax out of your ears, man.
Well, to be more specific, what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms. Which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom. If Sayaka had been in her own room, then
there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through!
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
Ironic, is it not?
Ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force or simply by accident. But the killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Regardless, it was a pointless act. Wasting time trying to break down a door that wasn't locked is...
tomfoolery.
Definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
That is a definite possibility.
Thank you.
So the killer would have to be someone who didn't know they'd switched rooms?
Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
Thank you for finally admitting that. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Okay, then who did do it?
Well, again, I want to suggest that everybody look at the fact that the killer had to use a tool to get the bathroom door open, or so they thought.
I'm sorry, but I give up. Quit without saving.
But what happens if we can't decide on who we think did it?
Then we're all fucked, my friend.
Wilmer, why don't we just vote right now? Majority rules.
Okay, I guess you're all feeling suicidal, so go ahead and do it. See how right you are.
Majority rules? You really think that's a good idea?
Yeah, our necks are on the line here. Someone seriously needs to do something. For serious.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Fire away.
Oh, you...
Don't contradict yourself now, woman. Our lives are on the line.
Disappointed.
It's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, how did the culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
A very good question.
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
I did address that in one of my theories, true.
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
But not impossible.
Then maybe someone picked the lock?
That is impossible because Monokuma assured us that the locks to our dormitory rooms that's impossible to do it, to pick the locks on those locks because of how sophisticated they are.
Negative! If you remember, Monokuma made it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
Fine. How about this? The killer got in the easy way.
And that is?
They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Miss Maizono just let him in.
That is very likely, given what we know so far.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh, it can be.
Trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place.
I could say the same exact thing right back at you, pointy hair.
Hello? Why exactly can't that be it?
The reason there's no way Sayaka invited the killer into the room. I already have the answer. Okay. Why am I drawing a blank here? Oh, wait. Switching rooms.
I got it!
That's right.
Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
Same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open the door for anyone. Even if I'm sure it's you, absolutely won't open it. Otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what
yet,
she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
And if that's the case, then the only other way the killer could have gotten in is if she left and dropped the key somewhere for the killer to pick up. It may be too convenient, but not impossible, like I said.
What if her being scared was a lie?
Then, if that's the case, then the idea of her willingly letting someone into her room despite promising not to is also a possibility.
Huh?
So, basically, both theories could be true.
Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the possibility?
No. See what I tell you guys? New evidence popping up during the class trial. And there's something I want to talk to you about. Just the two of us. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. So she clearly used the old pencil reveal trick on a notepad somewhere. check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay? Check the nameplates. And remember that the nameplates were switched. So, this brings up something very interesting. If Saika did lie to Makoto about being scared that someone tried to break into her room and basically get Makoto to switch rooms with her, why then did she write a note like this, suggest inviting somebody to come to her room and to check the nameplates? Well, what probably happened then was that she herself switched the nameplates in order to make sure that she and her killer would come into Makoto's room. Now, why exactly would she do this? We need to uncover more evidence before we can be 100% sure of that.
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil. And these are the words that appeared.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that on detective shows. When you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch over the next sheet of paper, and you can see the words.
A very basic forensic technique.
When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surprisingly useful sometimes. Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
And it was written with my notepad, too.
Huh? Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
And we did see a name right on the bottom of that imprint, did we not?
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No, I didn't. But...
Then it had to be Sayaka who did it.
Of course you didn't. Because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then, that note, Sayaka wrote it?
But why? Why would she write that?
To bring somebody into your room.
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Well, I would also like to point out where we are. So, as far as my thought process would be concerned, for all I would have known, the ultimate pop sensation would decide to pop my face in with a hammer or something.
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
Yeah, sure.
But can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
And why is that?
Huh? What makes you say that? Would you like to hear what I have to say? Very well then. Pay attention.
Alright, what do you got for us, Celeste? What kind of hole do I need to poke into? What kind of weak spot do I need to poke into for me to blow your argument out of the water?
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct? But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in.
No. That's wrong.
No, that's wrong.
Again, remember the nameplates.
The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
Actually, never mind. The nameplates didn't even come up until now.
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name. And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
I think we can definitively conclude at this point that Sayaka had knowingly and willingly invited somebody into Makoto's room after she and Makoto switched places before going to bed for tonight. The question we now gotta ask ourselves is, why would she do such a thing?
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
Right? Okay, then who did it?
There's only one person who could switch the nameplates. The killer. Actually, oh, god damn it! I meant Sayaka, fuck! The killer had to be the one who switched the nameplates. God damn it, I selected that without even thinking. Hey, sorry to burst your bubble, but no, go ahead, I deserve it. They had no idea they were actually in your room, right? Actually, yeah, you're right.
Shoot.
Looks like I just embarrassed myself in front of everyone. Okay, my bad. I meant Sayaka.
Me and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
You can also
Correct.
infer as much from her note.
Something I want to talk to you about, just the two of us in 5 minutes. Come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate. She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes?
So it would appear,
Perhaps
yes.
the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Given the injury on Sayaka's wrist, I would say a definite yes. And also don't forget the sheath that has scratch marks on it.
Oh yeah, what's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
With simple, you just look at it.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because
she got struck with it.
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword, right there on her wrist!
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
All right, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room? And what led to Sayaka's death? That's what we need to make clear. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Okay, let's do it. Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Starting at the next debate, I'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. If you come up with the wrong combination, you'll take damage to your influence gauge. You can press the left bumper button to rotate the cylinder and choose which bullet to fire. Press and release the left bumper button to cycle through each bullet. Or you can hold down the left bumper button and then use the left analog stick to select a specific bullet. By the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded into the cylinder. For our purposes this time, the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Well then, good luck and have fun. All right. Just trying to think, which one will I need here?
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt.
A sword-based sneak attack.
Actually, I think I know what I need to use here, but I've already missed my chance.
So, she tried to fight back.
I need to use her sword sheath.
She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away.
But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
The sword was used first, and then the knife came afterward. Is that really the order of events? That leads to some unexplainable details.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt.
A sword-based sneak attack.
Wrong.
No, it's wrong.
Because there are some very interesting scratch marks on the sheath of the sword that I think we should look into.
I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword's sheath had been scratched. See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Stop jumping ahead. Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going on.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
Well, I could argue that a sheathed sword can still be a pretty nasty blunt object if it's sturdy enough.
That's true. With the sheath on, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse. In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
And this is where the truth of this whole incident starts coming into play for me, because remember, who grabbed the knife to begin with?
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
I repeat, remember who grabbed the knife?
I think I get it. So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening.
But that would just beg the question then, why would the killer go into quote-unquote Sayaka's room looking for a knife?
So she grabbed the sword to defend herself, but then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
What? How the hell can you not think that?
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
The part of her body shows she never used a sword. Her palms.
I got it!
There would be
You're
glitter on
talking
them
about her
otherwise.
palms, right? The palms of her hands were perfectly clean, so I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
How can you know that just by looking at her palms?
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands.
A reasonable assumption.
There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she escaped into the bathroom.
Why would she do that, though?
Sorry, but I don't think so.
Why do you say that? Is it because you think I'm ugly?
No, it's because I think you're just flat out wrong.
No, that's not it at all.
There's no way Sayaka washed her gold coating off her hands because the water was off. Because remember, the water is shut off at nighttime.
I got it! According to the Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m. In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathroom shuts off at nighttime, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower here yet.
Disgusting.
Oh my.
You're no different. You smell like a big fat ugly donkey.
Yeah, but I mean, some of us do care, a lot of us do care about maintaining at least that level of hygiene, at least I would hope.
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
An insult, obviously.
Insult, obviously.
So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that means the killer is the only one who used the sword.
And that clearly wasn't a murder weapon.
But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was
Sayaka. The one who damaged the sheath would have to have been the one without the sword. Sayaka.
Got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
Remember our earlier testimony, Makoto. Hina and Sakura saw her go into the kitchen, leave, and that's when they noticed that one of the kitchen knives went missing. So based on that, we deduced that Sayaka was the one who took the knife. And based on what we've just been discussing, along with everything else up until now, I think we're starting to get a pretty clear picture of what actually happened. Namely, that Sayaka traded rooms with you in order to lure her killer into your room and then attack the killer with the knife.
But we already said that the attack started with...
Now the question to that then is, why would she lure someone into your room without your knowledge in order to attack them with a knife? I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty obvious what reason that could be. The problem will be getting dear old Makoto here to accept it.
The person with the knife attacked first, and the sword was used as an impromptu defense.
Then the one who attacked first was...
Sayaka?
Yep.
Now do you understand? She wasn't a blameless victim in this.
Apparently not.
No, far from it. It's almost as if she'd been planning to commit a murder of her own.
So it would seem. What?
She took the knife from the kitchen, then invited the culprit to the room she was staying in. And if it's true that she had the kitchen knife and attacked without provocation...
Indeed. These are all the actions of an assailant.
Which brings up another point. Makoto, Sayaka was the one who suggested you two switch rooms, correct? Maybe the reason she wanted to switch rooms...
Actually, if memory serves, I think it was Makoto who brought up the suggestion first.
...was so that she could pin the crime on you. That is a possibility, is it not?
Well, given the whole nameplate situation, I'd say that's a very strong possibility at this point.
Sayaka wanted to... on me?
Well, shit. Talk about top anime betrayal right there.
That would also explain why she would switch the nameplates. She wanted to get whoever she had targeted to come to Makoto's room where she was staying. And by committing the murder there, instead of her room, that would implicate Makoto. But for that to work, the target had to be lured out while still keeping the room swap a secret. If the target knew she had switched rooms, they would have become suspicious right away.
So all that's why she switched the names?
But doesn't that plan seem a little risky? For one thing, even if her plan worked, Mr. Naegi would just tell everyone they'd switched rooms.
What do you think I've been doing this whole time right from the beginning, jackass? Yet none of you believe me anyway.
I don't know. I'm not sure our soft-hearted Makoto is capable of that kind of cutthroat behavior. I'm sure Sayaka realized the same thing, which is why out of all of us, she asked him to switch rooms.
And yet you all believed me to have had the gall to actually kill somebody in cold blood anyway. So that theory obviously doesn't hold much water if you ask me.
Plus, she was the ultimate pop sensation. A totally forgettable kid. Or a national superstar. Who are you more likely to believe?
Wait, then you're saying she had this all planned out?
Holy shit!
But in the end, her plan backfired. She launched her attack with the knife, then found herself under attack in turn.
Karma.
That must be when her wrist got broken, and she was forced to drop the knife.
The tables were suddenly turned on her, and she died at the hands of the one she'd planned to murder.
Ironic, is it not?
Just hold on! That can't be true!
And why not, dear Makoto?
Because...
Hey! You guys have totally derailed the argument. You're being super boring right now. Come on, hurry up and decide who did it.
The only boring thing in this courtroom is you, my friend.
Wouldn't it be awful if I had to punish you all just because you ran out of time?
You never brought up time limits to this whole thing, so fuck you.
Oh yeah, we gotta decide who we think did it.
Makoto, right now you just need to concentrate on figuring out the answer to this mystery. If we can't uncover who murdered Sayaka, it's over for all of us.
No need to tell me twice. Is it really all over? Obviously not, because Sayaka ended up getting killed in the end. We still need to determine her killer's identity. All we've established so far is that Sayaka is not a blameless victim in all of this. Obviously, I'm committed to finding out who killed her, but what can I do? I mean, as far as clues go, there's nothing left. No, you idiot, we have the one single biggest clue we have yet to go over. And hopefully it'll come up as... There it is, dying message. We need that.
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
No, we got this.
No, it's wrong. There still might be one clue left. Sayaka's dying message.
Dining? Wait, what did you say?
Dying, moron.
The dying message. She wrote something on the wall behind her, remember? 11037. Written in her own blood. There must be a clue about the
Although I guess if you are a vampire, you could consider blood as a dying message in this instance.
Well, before we get too far into that, I need to ask, can we really be sure that Sayaka is the one who wrote it?
Sure. In fact, I would like to point you to a piece of evidence on her pointer finger.
I got it! Her left index finger had blood on it. That could only be because she used that finger to write the message.
But that...
I
Okay,
see.
yes.
She broke her right wrist during the fight, so she'd have to use her left hand to write.
And remember that she was pinned against the wall when she was writing that message. So what would the message look like if you were to try to write something from that position?
Sure. I think we can all agree Sayaka wrote it. But what the heck do those numbers mean? 11037?
Flip thy perspective.
Hey, Chihiro. You're a computer nerd or whatever, right? You should know all about numbers and shit.
No, that's not... Yes, I'm a programmer, but I don't see any kind of meaning in these numbers.
Of course. It's because they're not numbers.
Oh, yeah, it looks like...
Huh? What?
No, it's just... look at the numbers, assuming they're not numbers. Don't these first two, 1-1, look less like two numbers and more like one letter?
Yes, actually. Especially if you pay close attention... Oh, I guess I don't have my mouse cursor visible for this. Never mind. But you notice that very faint line right between the two ones. Now, what does it look like to you? What does it look like to you now when you when you imagine a perfectly visible line connecting these two numbers.
Ah, you're right. The connecting line is barely there, so I assumed it was 1-1, but looking at it now, you could also read it as an N.
Yes. And if you look at the rest of this message as a set of letters, excuse me. Again, I want to stress, what would the message look like if you wrote it where your back is pressed against the wall? Flip your perspective, and the message will read as...
Whoa.
And there we'll find our killer.
We just said something worth a shit.
Our little gray cells are really getting excited now.
But even if that really is an N037, doesn't make any more sense than before.
Damn it. It's no use. I just don't know.
Rotate the image 180 degrees.
Huh? Rotate it. I think maybe I see something.
Oh my god. Now I see. She wrote down the killer's name.
Huh? You just shot past the clue part and right on to who did it.
So, whose name did she write?
Saika's dying message reveals the real killer's name. Hey, Leon! I got some big questions for you.
Here's my answer. The key to solving this mystery was simply to rotate the writing 180 degrees. If you turn the message around, it becomes the letters L-E-O-N. L-E-O-N, or more accurately, Leon.
What the hell are you talking about? It's just a coincidence.
Pretty damn big coincidence, if you ask me.
It's just a bunch of random squiggles that happen to look like my name.
Okay, sure. Why not?
No, it's not random at all.
Forgot how ridiculous his arguments are.
She wrote that message on the wall behind her as she was leaning up against it. In that position, she couldn't move to write normally, and had to write upside down, as it were. And as a result, when you look at it standing in front of her, it ends up getting flipped. Try it for yourself if you want. Write something sitting like her, and the letters will be inverted.
That sounds like one hell of a stretch to me. I'm the killer? You can't just go and say shit like that.
Well, I just did, so what you gonna do about it, my friend?
If you're not the killer, then why did you try to destroy the evidence?
Huh?
So, since Leon, our ultimate baseball star, is our culprit, then certain evidence that we found in the trash room also starts to make a lot more sense if you stop and think about it.
You know what I'm talking about.
We'll get to that shortly.
Right, Makoto? The evidence Leon tried to get rid of?
Very shortly, in fact. The evidence that Leon tried to get rid of, I know what it was. Well, we have this burnt shirt piece.
I got it! You mean the burnt shirt piece I found laying on the ground by the incinerator, right?
As the killer stabbed Sayaka, they must have gotten some of her blood on them. And to dispose of the shirt covered in the victim's blood, they threw it into the incinerator.
But one piece burned off and got left behind.
And the killer didn't notice. If they had, they most certainly would have panicked. Isn't that right, Leon?
But is one scrap of fabric enough to conclude that Leon is guilty?
Far from it. I got a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, Leon's not the only one wearing a white button-up.
That's right. There are plenty of other people here with shirts like mine. With just that one little charred piece, there's no way you can say for sure who it belongs to.
You're right. That alone isn't enough. But there are some other points that may reveal the truth.
Are you finally starting to understand? The answers to all the riddles are right here.
Yeah, I think so.
The burnt remains of the button-up shirt, which the killer wasn't able to get rid of. There's something about we need to pay attention to in order to figure out who's responsible. How it was disposed of.
I got it!
That's what we need to focus on.
Look closely at how the shirt was disposed of. We should be able to figure out who the killer is.
Remember how only the person who is on trash duty is the only one who has a key to open the gate to get to the incinerator? How else would you be able to get to the incinerator then, besides throwing your evidence to it?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think I know what you're gonna say. You can't reach the incinerator without opening the gate in front of the trash room, right? And obviously, you wouldn't be able to hit the switch to turn it on either. You'd need the key to get in, and the one with the key was the person on cleaning duty. So the killer had to be whoever was in charge of taking care of the trash, right?
No.
Interesting.
Well, if you really think about it, I guess you could say that the person on clean duty could be an accomplice. But as Monokuma just pointed out, there were no accomplices in this case, so we can rule that out without any worry. No, that's wrong. There was another way to use the incinerator without being the one on cleaning duty. That's exactly what proves that Leon is the real killer. Remember that shattered crystal ball we found right next to the switch on the incinerator? That's what we need to use here.
Whoever was on cleaning duty must have had it, right?
So the only one who could get to the incinerator was the person in charge of the trash?
And you'd have to get close to the incinerator.
No, you don't. You don't have to get close at all if you're you, Leon.
Hold on. I think I know how someone could dispose of the evidence without using the trash room key.
But if you can't get past the gate, you couldn't possibly turn on the incinerator, could you?
Yes, you could. If you used this.
What is it, some kind of glass ball? It's busted to hell.
Actually, it was supposed to be a crystal ball, but,
But how would you use it?
Killer had to use a glass ball in a certain way, which was throw it.
I got it! The killer simply took aim at the incinerator switch and threw the ball through a gap in the gate. All they had to do was hit that switch, and the incinerator would come to life.
Someone threw a gap in the gate?
Improbable, yes, but not impossible.
Remember what you said before, Hifumi?
Huh? Someone turned the incinerator on. Very strange. I'm quite certain it was off last time I was down here. Perhaps it was the work of a fairy.
Hifumi had the key, so the only way the incinerator could have been turned on without his knowledge
Was a fairy did it!
was
Obviously
because
not.
the killer was able to hit the switch without opening the gate. Once they got the incinerator going, all they had to do was ball up the shirt and toss it in.
Hey, come on! What the hell is this?
All you have to do is look at the scene to know that the killer never actually went inside the trash room. The shards of broken glass, the incinerator left running, the piece of shirt that escaped the fire. If the killer had been on cleaning duty, the evidence would have been taken care of much more thoroughly.
Wait, no, just hold on.
Your entire life is about to be cut short very soon, my friend, so why fight it?
But the distance from the gate to the incinerator has to be at least 30 feet, right?
Exactly.
The pinpoint accuracy you'd need to throw a glass ball that far and hit something that small.
Not impossible if you're the ultimate baseball star.
Could someone really do that?
That's right! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Difficult, absolutely. Impossible? I don't think so. Because the killer is...
It wouldn't have been much of a challenge at all for the killer because... the ultimate fan-for creator rewrote reality and made it happen. That's why.
I got it! Because the killer is the ultimate baseball star. Isn't that right, Leon?
Do you have any idea how stupid you sound right now?
I think you should look in a mirror and say that to yourself, my friend.
A target 30 feet away would surely be little challenge for the ultimate baseball star.
You can't be serious. I'm not the killer! These goddamn shipper brains have got it all wrong, I'm telling you!
You still won't admit it? Okay then. Makoto, go ahead and review the incident one more time to make his crime perfectly clear. And with that, we can end this.
Gladly.
Listen to me! What the hell do you mean, end this?
Say what you want, Leon. But all the questions have been answered, and the truth has been revealed. Now here's what happened.
Closing argument is about to begin. Would you like to hear more? Why not? Every case has one last element to bring the trial to an end. This is the closing argument. In this phase, you'll give a complete summary of the case. You'll have to reproduce the flow of events for the case in the form of a comic book. However, you'll notice that in the comic, there are a number of pieces missing. It's up to you to complete the comic using the provided truth panels. Also, if you take aim at a missing section and press the A button, holy cow! You'll get a hint that might lead to a breakthrough. Well then, good luck and have fun. Alright, let's do this. My room was the scene of the crime. The incident began when the killer entered. So we need this right here. Because they were entering what they thought was Sayaka's room. Sayaka was lying in wait here with the kitchen knife at the ready. The killer asking what Sayaka wanted. Well, they got some kind of answer alright, but it wasn't at all what they were expecting. Let me see. We need this because Sayaka tried to strike Leon first. Now Leon suddenly finds himself on the defensive. The samurai sword is right behind him. Sayaka comes in for another strike. Leon then grabs the sword as a defensive impulse. Then he uses it to strike back at Sayaka. Sayaka drops the knife. Sayaka drops the knife after she's cornered here. Then she flees into the bathroom. They force the bathroom door open. The only logical way they could have done it is to use a tool. Like what the boys have. Eventually, Leon gets in after using the tool. Cornering Sayaka. She gets stabbed. And then we have her write her dying message right here. The killer used an item in my room to help dispose of the evidence, which is this lint roller. Now we're in Act 4. So they used a crystal ball to turn on the incinerator. They turn it on, and then they try to get rid of the evidence by tossing it in there while the incinerator was on. Leon leaves, thinking that his mission was accomplished, but one piece of evidence manages to get out unscathed, for the most part. And here we have our order of events. Let's do this.
Here's exactly what happened. I think I'd better take one more look back at the case from the beginning. Last night, the killer went to the room Sayaka was in. In other words, my room. From what we can tell, Sayaka invited that person there intending to kill them. She attacked them with the knife she'd taken from the kitchen earlier. But then something happened that she wasn't prepared for. They grabbed the fake sword I put in my room and fought back. During the struggle, A strike from the sword broke Sayaka's right wrist. And that's when she lost her grip on the kitchen knife. Finding herself cornered, Sayaka panicked and ran into the bathroom. The killer went after her, but couldn't get the bathroom door open. What they didn't know was that my bathroom door got stuck easily, and there was a trick to opening it. Sayaka knew about that because I told her, but of course the killer had no way of knowing. So instead, the killer forced the door open, took the kitchen knife, and stabbed Sayaka. But with what strength she had remaining, Sayaka left a dying message. To keep the killer from noticing, she wrote it on the wall behind her. And with that, all her strength was gone. With Sayaka dead, the killer quickly began destroying the evidence. First, they took off their shirt, which was covered in their victim's blood. Then they took the lint roller in my room and cleaned up the entire area. They wanted to make sure they got rid of any trace they'd ever been there. Afterwards, the killer headed to the trash room to destroy their bloody shirt. They tried to burn the shirt using the incinerator there, but the trash room was blocked off by an especially sturdy gate, preventing access to the incinerator. So they came up with a plan to use Hiro's crystal ball, which he'd left in the laundry room. The killer managed to throw the ball through the gap in the gate and hit the incinerator switch. For any normal person, that'd be an impossible throw, but the killer had the confidence to take a shot. And that's because the killer was the ultimate baseball star. The crystal ball, thrown with absolute precision, hit the switch on the incinerator, which then quickly roared to life. Having destroyed the final piece of evidence, they left the area with, I imagine, a sigh of relief. But there was one thing they missed. Part of the shirt they'd thrown into the fire burnt away and fell out of the incinerator. The killer didn't notice this, and so left behind a piece of indisputable evidence. Isn't that right, Leon?
You're done, my friend. 100% done.
It would appear that Hiro simply forgot his crystal ball in the laundry room. You went there to try and wash the blood out of your shirt, and that's where you saw it, right? Seeing the ball, you thought of a way to take care of everything.
So, Leon, do you object to anything that's been said?
Do I object? Hell yes, I object! Of course I do! I object! I object! I object!
What's your objection, good sir?
I mean, all of this is just a bunch of stupid theories!
Based on evidence!
Where's the evidence?
You poor deluded fool.
Without evidence, it's all bullshit! It's bullshit and I refuse to acknowledge it!
Well then, I guess this is as good a time as any to present the evidence that proves you did it. Makoto, I believe you're in possession of that evidence.
Have the evidence? Your first bullet time battle is about to begin. Would you like to hear more? Yup! Here's the part I'm going to be dreading a little. Sometimes during a class trial, your opponent simply won't want to hear what you have to say. When this happens, you will engage them in a head-to-head battle. We like to refer to this as the bullet time battle. aka the BTB, by the way. During the BTB, you want to destroy your opponent's statements in time with the rhythm. Basically, it's a rhythm minigame. Match your button presses with each tempo marker as they move across the screen and reach the center. Press the A button to lock on to an opponent's statement. Destroy a statement you've locked onto with the Y button as the tempo marker reaches the center. Use this method to deal damage to your opponent. If you can't pull it off, you'll be the one in pain. Do this consecutively and you'll start a combo. Keep this going and you'll initiate a tempo up. On the flip side, if you keep missing, you'll get a tempo down situation. When the tempo changes, so does the timing for hitting each button. So watch out for that. Deal enough damage to your opponent, and their weak spot statement will appear. At that point, you can press the Y button to shoot it down with a truth bullet, like any other statement. Refute their statement fast enough, and you'll come out victorious. But just like before, if your influence gauge reaches 0 or you run out of time, you fail. Well then, good luck and have fun. I'll try my best.
When the killer broke the bathroom doorknob, they didn't use anything from your room to do it. So what did the killer use?
What did the killer use to take apart the doorknob?
I refuse to acknowledge you. You're stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
No, you.
Stupid, 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 stupid!
He's starting to engage in Pokemon speak. I have to show indisputable evidence that Leon is the killer. I need to figure it out. Alright, let's see if I still got this.
Where's your proof? You kidding me? Not a chance. It wasn't me. Stupid. You lie! Shut up! Where's your proof? You kidding me? Not a chance! You lie! Where's your proof? You kidding me? Not a chance!
Crap.
It wasn't me! Stupid!
Okay.
You lie! Shut up! Where's
Okay,
your
I'm
proof?
fucking up big time here.
You kidding me? Not a chance! You lie! Shut up! Stupid! Where's your proof? You kidding me? Not a chance!
I'm really out of shape on this thing.
Stupid! Where's your proof?
This should prove it.
Wow, sorry for that poor display, but hey, victory's victory, right?
The screws on the bathroom doorknob were removed. I wonder what kind of tool the killer used to remove them.
I mean, it had to be a screwdriver, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure the toolkits we got each had one inside.
And that must be what he used. There aren't any other tools anywhere.
But the toolkit in my room had clearly never been used.
That's because the culprit didn't know it was your room. They thought they were in Sayaka's room.
Only the boys got toolkits, so the killer naturally assumed there wouldn't be one in there.
Okay, then whose toolkit did the killer use?
I think it's pretty obvious who it was.
Stupid, stupid, stupid!
Stupid, stupid, stupid.
It had to be their very own toolkit.
Stupid, 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 stupid!
Leon, would you mind showing us your toolkit? If I'm right about this, then the screwdriver will show some evidence of being used.
Stupid, stupid, stupid!
Huh? And if you say you used it for something else, you'll have to explain exactly when, where, and why.
And let me say this right now. I lost it isn't an excuse at this point.
Stupid. Stupid.
So, you have no rebuttal?
Then it would seem
Of course not, he's
we are
stupid.
finished here.
Wow. I thought I would get at least a B rank after that failure in the rhythm game. But at least I got 97 Monokuma coins. Which means I have to do some serious gift shopping after all this is over.
Looks like you've reached your verdict. Then are we ready to cast our votes?
Yep.
You all have a lever in front of you. Use it to make your selection. Oh, just to remind you all, make triple sure you vote for someone. You wouldn't want to be punished for something so minor, right? Okay, then let's get excited! Who will be chosen as the Blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
I like how it's just a slot machine out of literally anything they could have chose. Uh-oh. Looks like you got right on the money. The Blackened in this case, the one that killed Sayaka, was none other than Leon Kawada.
Huh? Hey, hold on.
Hold on a second. Leon, did you really? Of course he did. We just proved that. Kill Sayaka?
But...
I don't believe it.
You son of a bitch!
Son of a bitch! What the hell is wrong with you?
I didn't have a
You're
choice.
all acting like you didn't just vote him as the guilty party here. You didn't have a choice. I disagree with that. I mean, you could have just, you know, left Sayaka to her own devices after you forced her to flee. It was kill or be killed.
So that's why
I killed her first.
none of you are any different.
None of you are any different. One wrong step, and you'd be the one standing here. It was complete chance that I wound up like this.
I was just unlucky. That's all.
Except not really.
Hey, come on!
You expect me to just accept my death? Well, it's either your death or all of ours, so yes, I'm afraid so. Everything's become clear. The decision we made was right after all. But when I think about that, honestly, I'd be better off we'd been wrong. No, you don't know what you're talking about, saltine cracker. Because what we came up with was really the truth? And the truth is that Sayaka was trying to frame me. Yeah, she used you. But, even if that's true, I can't say she was wrong. After all, the mastermind. It's all because of that video. Even I couldn't handle what I saw in there. I can understand being distraught about what she saw in that video, but that still doesn't excuse what she tried to do to you, man. I'm sorry, but I just don't see this the way you do. Murder is still murder, as is trying to frame someone for said murder that you were trying to commit. That's still a very heinous thing to do, no matter what your reason is for it. If I was her, and the video actually had something to do with me, I can't even imagine. Now we're trapped here, no way out. I mean, yeah, it would have been one thing if it was like self-defense, but as we just established, she's not the victim. She's not a blameless victim in all this. She instigated this whole thing. They're probably waiting for me.
Why?
Can't afford to be stuck in here. The one thing that was more important to her than anything else. Her dreams. Her friends. To have to see someone like that happen to them. And Sayaka. I did whatever it took to reach that dream. I mean, even some things that weren't so pleasant. And that's why Sayaka, for the friends that meant so much to her, that's why she betrayed me. So when she said,
No matter what happens, please always be there for me. I need you on my side.
yes, she used you. She was lying to me from the very beginning. She was using me. Is that why she talked to me in the first place? I guess I'll never know. I don't think she was intending to use you right from the very beginning, if what you mean is from the very first time you all met each other again here in this place, because before then, none of you had any idea what was going on. So I'm pretty sure that she wasn't trying to use you, at least then. Because there's nothing I can do to ask her what she was thinking. Once you're dead. That's that. Boy howdy, the entertainment industry must sure be terrifying, huh? I mean, to try to kill someone just because of those relationships.
Ba-bum, ba-bum.
She seemed so nice and lovely on the outside, but inside, she descended into pure madness. What did you say?
Phew.
I understand. Really, I do. Yup. You're in utter despair thanks to Sayaka's betrayal, right? Compassion, intimacy, love. The stronger those feelings, the stronger the despair when they collapse. Stop screwing the fuss! This is all your fault! Sayaka being forced to do something like that. All of it. Everything. It's all your fault! Well, in a matter of speaking, that's correct, but ultimately the decision to actually go and try to kill someone and frame someone else for said murder, that was all Sayaka in the end, Makoto. So, as far as I'm concerned, both Monokuma here and Sayaka are both guilty for Sayaka's death, in different ways. Suddenly in a frenzy, I lunged at Monokuma, but...
That's enough.
That's enough. Never mind, I guess she read for me. As angry as I was, Kyoko latched onto my arm without hesitation. Her grip was like iron, strong enough I was sure it would leave a bruise.
Calm down.
If you really want to make her enemies pay for what they've done, you need to let it go for now. Damn it!
Ba-bum, ba-bum.
Ah, that was a close one. I thought for sure you were going to give me a good walloping. Just barely avoided punishment, you did.
Yes, indeed.
Now then, since you so magnificently revealed the identity of the killer during the class trial, the Blackened, Leon Kuwata, will receive his punishment.
Punishment? You mean execution?
Yes, that's exactly what he means.
Wait a second!
I didn't have a choice. I had to kill her!
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I was just protecting myself in the heat of the moment. It was self-defense.
Is that okay?
How exactly was it self-defense? When you forced your way into the bathroom, did you or did you not use your very own toolkit? After she'd shut herself in the bathroom, you went out of your way to head back to your own room. Then you came all the way back, broke into the bathroom, and killed her. Am I wrong?
Do you understand?
You had any number of chances to stop what you were doing, but you chose not to. Is it not because you had unclouded intent to commit murder?
So, that's why...
I think she's 100% on the money with this one, Leon. No! That's not... Stop it. I've had enough of this.
Oh.
Oh? Are you sure? You were closer to her than anyone, were you not? In light of everything, I'm not so sure. He killed your precious Sayaka. Do you understand? I can't say Leon is solely to blame. Of course, I don't plan on blaming Sayaka either. Because... You should kind of... Because the one to blame is him! Suwa? If it weren't for you, this never would have happened to Sayaka or Leon! We shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be fighting against the one who put us in this situation. The mastermind! I do agree with you, but once again, I don't think we can put all the blame on the bear here.
Unbelievable.
Uh-oh. Did you awaken to your sense of justice?
Hey,
Well, it just so happens that there's nothing more unethical than an unwavering sense of justice. After all, it's people with that sort of mentality that perpetuate war all over the world. Is that the kind of justice that's awakened within you? Just shut up! Well, okay. Well, anyway. More importantly...
Thrills, chills, kills!
Let's hurry up and get to what everyone's been waiting for. The punishment!
I'm begging you! Please, don't do this!
Hey, come on now!
No more begging. No more excuses. You must pay the penalty for breaking the rules. Society demands it.
Stop, please!
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment!
For Leon Kuwata, the ultimate baseball star.
No, 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 no!
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
No!
Here we go. Game over. Leon's been found guilty. Time for the punishment. The 1000 below. Despite how over the top this is, you gotta admit this honestly looks like it'd be a very painful way to go out. What we saw, that was the true face of despair. I mean, if we can't call it that, what else could we call it? Over the top execution?
Extreme!
Woohoo! Extreme! Man, my adrenaline is pumping right out of control. What's going on?
I can't take it.
I can't take this anymore. Do we really have to keep doing this? I just can't take it.
Well?
Well, hey, if you don't like it. All of you guys do is swear to cut all ties with the outside world, except living here forever. But that's only if every single one of you can get on board with that.
Damn you!
Man, fuck you! Why the fuck are you doing all this evil shit to us? Despair. That is all. I believe that was the bear's words.
What the heck?
Evil? You make it sound like I'm some dark, awful secret society type of guy. Well, considering this crazy setup that you've set up for us, I think that's a pretty safe assumption to make.
Say what?
Or in this case, a dark, awful secret society type of bear.
Well...
So why are you putting an upstanding young citizen like me through such a grueling ordeal?
Hey,
It seems like you're trying to use common sense to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. That's like trying to put a mile on a scale. I just don't think it's possible. Hey, I don't think what you're saying and what I'm saying quite fit together.
Shit.
You piece of shit! I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna pound your ass into the ground. You must really hate me to get so angry, huh? Duh. But if you do that, you're barking way up the wrong tree. What happened because more than one of you decided you wanted to get out, right? No matter how much time passes, you can't cut free of your regrets from the outside world. You're to blame! Well, you're half right, as far as I'm concerned. But again, you're the one that put them into this situation to begin with as well, so... everybody's to fucking blame here. Of course we can't cut free of the outside world. Being trapped in this insane place. You're trapped, are you? Well, I'm sure once you learn all the mysteries of this school, your thinking will change for sure. You'll think, boy, isn't it so wonderful how we all get to live here forever?
What does this mean?
What are you trying to say? I think what he's trying to say is, there's gonna be something outside these walls that we're not gonna like.
Hey.
I feel like there's some deeper meaning hidden in there. Just like before.
Thrills, chills, kills!
Anyway, let's get back. That's what everyone is waiting for, after all.
Hey.
When you say everyone, who exactly are you referring to? Sorry, I said everything I've got to say. I need to save some of the fun for later. And just like that, he was gone. He left us there, overwhelmed by a nightmare turned reality. Even after he was gone, we stood there forever, unable to move. Actually, no. It wasn't that long, I think. Everyone just lost their sense of time. We were all too scared. Scared of being alone. No one even tried to speak. Their faces were stone, their voices dead. But it was in that moment.
Just a second.
Makoto, can I talk to you for a second? She moved in close and whispered into my ear.
Makoto.
Before we head back, there's something I want to talk to you about. It's about Sayaka, isn't it? I'm surprised you figured it out.
Listen.
I told you before the class trial started. You had to figure out the mystery of this case yourself. I didn't, though. You kind of helped me. You wanted me to realize how Sayaka betrayed me by myself, didn't you? The thought never even crossed my mind. I feel like such a fool, becoming such an easy target like that.
It's true.
Sayaka meant to double-cross you. That's a fact that you can never change. But even till the very end, she wasn't sure of her decision. That's why, as she lay dying, she was thinking of you. And how can you know that, Kyoko? She was thinking of me? You can't just say something like that. I mean, there's no way you can know that. Only Sayaka would know for sure, and we can't ask her now.
However...
Even if you can't ask her, you can infer it, don't you think? Her final thought was how she could protect you. What?
So...
The fact that she used her last ounce of energy to leave her dying message proves it. You mean Leon's name. I'm sorry, but that doesn't prove it for me, personally. Because, for all I know, she could have just wrote that message just to implicate her killer. Makoto could have just as well had nothing to do with it. If she didn't care what happened to you, she never would have left that message. Well, maybe she just wanted to get back at the person who had killed her.
Certainly.
That's certainly one possibility. But I don't think that's what it was.
Anyway...
She was... uncertain. She wasn't sure she could kill someone. Or deceive you. Yes, she managed to do at least one of those things, so... Which is why her plan failed. Her hesitation attracted failure.
Right.
It's almost ironic when you think about it. Why are you telling me all this? Because you're the kind of person who can overcome this. Because you can move past the deaths of your friends, Sayaka and Leon, and keep moving forward.
Correct.
Without someone like that, the others would never be able to break free of such a desperate situation. Move past their deaths. I could never do that. No. I'm going to carry them with me the rest of my life. How could I possibly move past something like that? Leon. Sayaka. I'll carry them with me forever. I'll carry their memories with me wherever I go! So instead of forgetting them, you're choosing the hard road. Well, I have high expectations for you. As she said that, she revealed the smallest smile.
Hey.
By the way, I have to admit I'm curious. How did you know I wanted to talk to you about Sayaka? Oh well. I'm psychic.
What?
Huh? Kidding. I just have pretty good intuition. Chapter 1. To survive. The end. Surviving students. 12. To be continued. You received the Despair Bat present. How generous of you. Well, besides a couple fuck-ups, I think I did a pretty decent job. But this is the first class trial of the game, so things are only going to get more difficult from here on out. Still, talk about massive betrayal, huh, Makoto? To get used like that by Sayaka? I mean, yeah, I guess it is possible that what Kyoko said could have been true. That maybe Sayaka was thinking of protecting Makoto in her last moments, but I also think it's possible that she just as well was still thinking about herself in the end and just decided that she just wanted to screw Leon over. Because damn, what happens to Makoto? She already decided that he was an expendable pawn anyway in her little scheme. Which I admit is a very uncharitable interpretation of this whole thing. And I do try to see the... I do honestly try to see the good in people whenever I can, but I can't also deny the possibility that her motive in writing down his name could very well have been a much more selfish one than what Kyoko tried to sell me, you know? There's just really no way to know for sure one way or the other. Given everything that... going over all their interactions together, Sayaka and Makoto's, I guess it is probably more likely that she did indeed have at least some doubts and want to protect Makoto in the end, because she did seem to have a bit of a thing for Makoto. And so her feelings for him was probably the source of those doubts that Kyoko was speculating about. So, yeah, it probably is likely that she was trying to protect him in the end. No, it's not a certainty, but it is a possibility. I just feel bad for poor Makoto here, because no matter which is true, he still ended up getting used in the end and almost got executed for his troubles, along with everybody else. And again, I don't consider Sayaka entirely victim. I don't consider Sayaka blameless either. I mean, yeah, Monokuma put everybody in this killing game to begin with, but at the end of the day, the final decision for anybody to kill anyone lies with the perpetrator. In this case, it was Sayaka when she first tried to kill Leon, and then Leon later when he decided that he was going to kill Sayaka in retribution. As far as I'm concerned, those two are both guilty for their own respective demises. Just as Monokuma is guilty for setting up all the chess pieces to make it happen, as it were, to begin with. Nobody is exactly innocent here, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and just cut things off here. I thought that I'd be able to get through this trial segment in a little over an hour, but it went on a bit longer than I expected it to. But who knows? Maybe some of you will like the extra long episode. I'm not sure. Still, I hope you did enjoy this episode of Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all next time. Take care.